It was a cold, miserable Thursday afternoon, and I still remember the precise way the fluorescent light in my parents' kitchen hummed, mocking the silence.
My mother, Eleanor, stood by the granite counter, tapping a freshly signed check on the butcher block.
My sister, Samantha, sat across from her, radiating smug, triumphant energy.
"This is it, Sammy," Mom announced, her voice thick with pride.
$1 million. The seed money for Sammy's sustainable spas. Your dream is finally a reality.
Then, Mom looked at me. I was standing in the doorway, my backpack slung over my shoulder. I had just finished my shift, waiting tables, and was hoping to grab the few remaining belongings from the small bedroom I still technically occupied.
My dream wasn't a sustainable spa. My dream was to create an educational app that taught coding to underprivileged girls, a pursuit my family considered quaint, expensive, and utterly unrealistic.
"And you, Andrea, my father, Robert," said, finally looking up from his newspaper, his tone flat and dismissive.
We've had a long talk. You need to be out by the end of the month.
This was the setup, the sudden, brutal rupture within the ordinary.
I hadn't expected a party, but I hadn't expected an eviction notice either.
Out, I repeated, the word catching in my throat. But where am I supposed to go?
My father sighed, folding his paper with irritating precision. Anywhere but here, Andrea.
"This house is a launching pad, not a landing strip. We're supporting Samantha's future. We're investing."
You're just wasting space here. The shock hit me first, followed immediately by the corrosive heat of shame. My sister Sammy didn't even look at me.
She was too busy gazing adoringly at the check that represented her fast track to success, a success fully funded by Mommy and Daddy.
$1 million for a dream she hadn't earned, while I was told my mere presence was a drain. "Your app idea is lovely, dear," Mom added, softening the blow with fake sympathy. "But it's just a hobby. Samantha has a proper business plan. Real-world skills."
You need to go find a job that pays rent, not a passion project that costs money. I didn't argue.
I didn't beg. The humiliation was too profound. I simply nodded, turned around, and walked out, leaving the life I thought I had behind.
I didn't even pack my winter clothes.
I just got into my decade-old sedan, which I'd paid for myself, and drove away from the sight of my sister and my parents celebrating my departure. I should have known that day would define the next 5 years of my life.
I'll never forget the sting of those 7 words. You're just wasting space here. For the first few weeks, I lived out of my car. This was the raw, painful start of the escalation. I showered at gyms, ate instant ramen, and worked every night shift I could find: gas stations, delivery driving, stock picking at a massive warehouse.
The irony was a bitter taste. I was working 3 times harder than my sister ever had, just to survive, while she was sipping lattes and decorating her sustainable spa with designer bamboo.
The money I made during those long, lonely nights wasn't for rent. It was for my app.
Every spare dollar went into online coding courses, server space, and paying for cheap, freelance designers.
My car became my mobile office, the dashboard my desk, the glow of the streetlights my lamp. I coded between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., fueled by caffeine and the relentless desire to prove my family wrong.
I kept in touch with my parents only through terse holiday phone calls where they inevitably brought up Sammy's progress. Sammy just signed a lease in the city's best commercial district. Mom would beam.
The press is calling her a disruptor. You should be so proud of her, Andrea.
That's great, Mom. I'd lie, closing my laptop after fixing a complex string of code that had taken me 16 hours.
My own company, named Synergy Code, was still just me. But it was growing. My educational app was getting positive beta reviews. Then came the first microhook, the moment of real tension.
About 3 years into my exile, I was pitching my small app concept to an angel investor via shaky video call from a truck stop parking lot.
I needed $50,000 to scale. He was skeptical, citing my lack of a formal business degree or high-profile backing.
"You need to show me that you can handle large-scale finances," he challenged.
Meanwhile, Sammy was expanding her spa chain. My mother called to crow about it. Sammy's opening her 3rd location. She's hiring 30 staff members. See, Andrea?
That's what real business looks like, not that little phone game of yours. I hung up, feeling that old, familiar ache of inadequacy. But the pain served as fuel. I took the investor's criticism and realized I needed more than just a great app.
I needed a great system.
I pivoted, realizing my core value wasn't just the app, but the comprehensive, self-teaching platform I had built around it.
I repitched, this time selling the technology as a scalable training and onboarding system for tech companies, not just an educational tool.
The investor, intrigued by the sheer efficiency of my coding platform, agreed to $100,000.
It was the first time I felt the shift in momentum. I moved out of my car and into a tiny, damp office space. I hired one assistant. The fear remained, but now it was overshadowed by quiet, ferocious confidence. 2 years later, the market changed.
The pandemic hit, and suddenly my remote learning and training platform became essential.
Synergy code exploded. Companies desperate to onboard staff remotely needed my system.
The $100,000 investment turned into millions. I bought a house, not just a house, but a stunning, modern beachfront villa on the California coast, a place where the ocean sounds could wash away the memories of that cold kitchen.
I was 31.
And that's when the explosion began. The karmic unraveling that had been 5 years in the making. The signs were subtle at first. My parents stopped bringing up Sammy's business.
Their calls became shorter, tinged with a strange tightness. Then, the silence.
For 6 months, nothing. I finally called Mom myself. "How's the spa doing?" Mom's voice was thin, reedy. "It's complicated, Andrea. The third location didn't take off. Samantha made some poor investment choices."
The leases were expensive. Then, the true shock landed. The bank called in the loan on the second location last week.
She lost everything. The $1 million, the 3 years of hard work, it's all gone. She's moving back home on Friday. I felt no satisfaction, only a hollow emptiness.
The $1 million that had been my ticket out, the money that had purchased my misery, was vaporized.
The golden child was returning home, not as a conquering hero, but a failed experiment.
I didn't offer to help. I couldn't. My father's words were a permanent wall between us. The final, definitive moment of poetic justice happened 3 weeks later.
I was standing on my wide, sun-drenched deck overlooking the Pacific.
I was on a conference call, finalizing the acquisition of a small competitor for $25 million, a deal that would cement my company's place in the market.
I paused the call for a moment to watch the sunset paint the water. Then, I heard it.
The familiar, loud, aggressive whine of my father's old silver sedan, the same one he'd used to drive Sammy to her ribbon-cutting ceremonies, pulling up to the curb. They were visiting a relative who lived 2 streets over.
The car stopped directly in front of my driveway, right next to the massive, imposing bronze gate that shielded my property from the street.
I was too high up on the deck to be clearly seen, but I could see them perfectly.
My sister, Samantha, was in the passenger seat.
She had clearly just arrived back home and was being driven around to process her failure. She was slumped, her face pale, the entitled confidence replaced by a desperate, ravaged look.
She must have looked up, seeing the towering glass walls, the immaculate landscaping, the 2 luxury electric vehicles parked discreetly beneath the house.
She must have seen the life of comfort and quiet, overwhelming success I had built. And she must have recognized the owner's mailbox, the one that said, A. Hayes, Synergy Code.
She didn't just cry. She broke down screaming, slamming her fists repeatedly on the dashboard.
I heard her voice, raw and piercing, even from my deck.
"Why does she get everything?" she shrieked at my mother, who sat paralyzed in the driver's seat.
"It was supposed to be me. You gave me the money. You said she was a failure."
Why, Mom? Why does she get this? The words were short, brutal, and undeniable.
Her whole belief system had shattered on the smooth, polished stone of my driveway.
The $1 million, the parental praise, the fast track, it had all led her to this moment, parked in the sedan, screaming in front of the empire built by the person they cast out.
I quietly excused myself from the conference call. I didn't gloat. I didn't cheer.
I just stood there, watching my father pull the car away, leaving behind only the echo of my sister's desperate, heartbroken fury.
This was my emotional closure. I didn't need their apology or their money. They had given me something far more valuable than $1 million. They had given me a reason to fight.
They had given me a floor to hit. I walked back inside, the scent of the ocean breeze washing over me.
I picked up my phone, my voice steady. "I apologize for the interruption. Let's close this deal. Some people are built by support and funding.
Others are forged in the fire of dismissal and betrayal.
And for the first time in my life, I knew I was not wasting space. I was simply building my own.